Now, both of these two being pretty fun, saying for England and of course for UK, only UK players are allowed to participate in the UK Pro League. It is purely for the homegrown talent. And as Dzerzhinksy is pointing out, of course, the UK is not only England, but also Scotland, Wales, and Northern Ireland. Although I'm not actually sure if we've got any Northern Ireland Irish players actually in the competition at the moment. So we'll have to keep an eye out for that. It's something that I can check. Unfortunately, I can't do it because I'm obsing and solo casting at the same time. And if I try and actually check the brackets simultaneously, I'll go over the number of things I'm capable of doing at the same time. Especially being able to do any of them with any remote success, which some of you may argue I can't do anyway, but that is all beside the point. At the moment, though, the point is that we've got the first supply depots coming down. It looks like Dzerzhinksy just going to be sending an SCV down, checking there's nothing suspicious going on, nothing built out of the ordinary, and then going to go across the map and scout. At the same time, though, for Pompey, he's getting down his barracks, so is Dzerzhinksy, but different positioning of the barracks. That means no wall-off is going to be coming down. There is the refinery, so this could be a nice early Reaper on both sides. Barracks into refinery is often just going to be going into a Reaper, so something that both players do need to be watching out for. It can be pretty fun getting a little bit of Reaper on Reaper action, and on Acklon Waste when you've got quite a long distance, it can be really good to see. But at the moment, this SCV just going to be making his way up, coming into the base, sneaking through. You can see there's actually a gap in the wall off on the other side as well. A little bit of SCV on SCV action, and is Dzerzhinksy actually going to be able to deny this? No, not now, because Pompey is pulling the second SCV down to come and defend this. Dzerzhinksy going to see the gas, going to get all of the information that he requires. Meanwhile, Pompey, he doesn't know about the gas, he doesn't know about the racks, he has no clue about the opening that his opponent could be going for, and therefore is playing a little bit blind. But oh, Pompey making a second racks, and Dzerzhinksy is not going to be able to see it. So now this is going to be two racks Reapers, and this is going to be very fun to see, because for the moment Dzerzhinksy, he's not following this up with anything other than just an orbital command coming down. His first Reaper, his first Marine is down the field. He isn't actually pumping out any Reapers at the moment. We can see that he's just got the one Marine there. Meanwhile, Pompey's first Reaper is just about to pop out. We've also got Dzerzhinksy who's coming to check around here. He's definitely paranoid that something could be coming down at the moment. He's like, okay, I just need to be really cautious that there's no proxy barracks or anything like that. Taking a good look around the Reaper on his way across the map for the moment. And yeah, Dzerzhinksy, he's still being really cautious. The Marine even checking around everywhere around here. Just like, okay, I'm definitely safe. Not thinking that this barracks would be completing up now. This has got to be very, very scary for Pompey, because he's got to do some nice damage here. The Reaper just sitting outside, going to come and hop up into the main base. The Marine's getting pulled back. There's a factory getting scouted. The second command center for Pompey is now just starting in construction as well. There we see the reactor coming down on the racks for Dzerzhinksy, but the Reaper has spotted it all. Meanwhile, the second Reaper on its way over. The third Reaper is in production as well from the second barracks, but Pompey's got to be careful. He does not want to lose these Reapers to any Marines. He wants to keep them active for as long as possible, allow the heal them up as quickly as possible, and then if they do get healed up, then that is where you can very quickly keep coming in and harassing, picking off SCV here. Gonna pick up the two SCVs, one building the supply depot, one building the command center, and this is going to just be delaying this for the moment. Dzerzhinksy not actually pulling anything over, is now pulling two SCVs, so we'll be able to recover from that. But Pompey getting a little bit ahead in terms of the timing on his natural base, but the Hellions on their way out. Hellions still quite nicely against Reapers, especially if they get them in a nice lineup, so that can always be good. But the Reapers at the moment is going head-to-head with these Marines, and where the reactor was built, that means that, of course, not many Marines are on the field. Their Reapers are being forced back, getting up a bit more HP. Just going to allow those combat drugs start kicking in. These Hellions have got to make a valiant defense of these Reapers, because otherwise quite a lot of damage could be done. Back at Pompey's base, we can see that his command center at the natural morphing into an orbital command. We've got the reactor coming down on the barracks, and of course the tech lab already down, and a third barracks with the reactor coming down. This is going to allow a lot of Reapers to get pumped out. Also some Marauders on their way, and the transition just into bio styles shortly. Oh, the Reapers nearly getting caught nicely out of position there by the Hellions. The Hellions are going to come and chase down here, but they should be able to get away. One gets taken down. Four managed to escape. This is looking all very good for Dzerzhinksy. He pushed that back without taking too much damage. Losses at the moment, Dzerzhinksy has only lost 250 resources compared to 100 of Pompey, which may not seem like a big difference, but Pompey definitely wanted to do a bit more damage there, maybe achieve a little bit more. Oh, the Reapers just pop up straight on top of the Hellions, and I just missed that while I was looking back at Pompey's base. But now only a single Reaper survives, and only just, and this was being allowed to live by Dzerzhinksy to go and tell all of Pompey's friends and units that, hey, don't send Reapers over to my base or I will get revenge on it. This Reaper now is going to be the final one to die. missed his opportunity to get away and find his retirement, and now the Reapers are all gone. The Hellions have retaken all of the map control for Dzerzhinsky, but with this bunker up, 2 Marauders in there, the Hellions aren't going to be able to quickly make their way through there. Now, looking back here, we can see that the Orbiter Command is now up for Dzerzhinsky. It's sitting back. Hellbats are on their way down, and the first Medevacs are also coming through. So, of course, Hellbat drops. Anyone who plays any time at all will know that Hellbat drops can be devastating. So, will we see Pompey be able to defend that? Are we even going to be getting those coming down? Well, most likely will the Hellions... Oh, sorry, the Hellbats now loading up into the Medevacs, and the Medevacs loading up. A double Hellbat drop can be incredibly frustrating. Are we going to be able to see them go both into the main, or will we see them split and one go into the natural, one into the main base? For the moment, missile turrets, one is down. No second one yet, but there was a single Marine here. Another missile turret getting queued up. This could be exactly what Pompey needs in order to defend this off. Of course, remember, this is game 1 of a best of 3, and getting that early lead in a series is always so important. It gives you such a nice psychological edge. The Hellions going to be pushing in towards the natural as the drop of the Hellbats comes into the main. Will the Marauders get pulled out of the bunker? Probably not. Will this drop be successful? We're moving in now, but look how many Marines are there. The Hellbats getting dropped down very quickly, and we can see already they get a nice little bit of surface area. Many Marines do get taken down, but the Medevacs focused out very quickly by those missile turrets. At the same time, though, Hellions try to sneak into the natural base, but there's still units there ready to defend. Pompey losing quite a few SCVs up in the main base. He's taking some decent damage here. 6 workers killed by Dzerzhinsky at the moment, and still 3 of these Hellbats are alive, but as the infantry falls back, we'll be able to clean out most of the rest of it. There is still 1 Hellion sitting down here all by its lonesome, and even the SCV is going to try and take that out. Are any more going to die? 3 more go down there. So 12 workers killed in total there by Dzerzhinsky, taking the count 32 to 30 in his favor. But that is not massive. That is just a very small lead, and with the amount of army down on the field at the moment for Pompey, I don't think he's going to be too concerned. He could have come off a lot worse from that double Hellbat drop and Hellion pressure. Dzerzhinsky, though, he wants to capitalize on this economical lead he's got going at the moment. He's got a 3rd command center already in construction. Meanwhile, starport's coming down for Pompey. He wants to start pumping those Medevacs, allow that infantry to be more effective. He's already got +1 infantry weapons completed, now got +1 infantry armor on its way. Meanwhile, upgrades for Dzerzhinsky, none. He is just meching it up. He's got tanks coming out. There is +1 vehicle weapons getting started, and this is now going to get into a little bit of an upgrade race. At the same time, a Hellion just going to make sure that he comes and checks around everywhere, gets good vision of the map, knows if anything was going to be coming out. Pompey taking no chances, though. He's getting more missile turrets down at the main base for now, watching this cliff to the right, which of course is a massive vulnerability point. But Dzerzhinsky, he's got no missile turrets down in his main, so this could be some counter-drop aggression coming in, especially with mech. If you're not careful, it's difficult to try and get back in order to defend that, but the Viking is definitely going to be able to help hold that off. But it's got to detect it first, and that's one of the reasons Dzerzhinsky is keeping this watchtower to the left, just to try and spot anything that could be coming through. Pompey cleaning out these rocks. He's got his 3rd command center on its way. The 3rd command center, though, for Dzerzhinsky has already completed, morphing into an orbit command. The rock's taken out, and he's just going to knock down that rock tower as well in order just to give himself a little bit of extra safety. However, look at this for Pompey. He's just starting to pump out the Medevacs. He's got the double drop loaded up. This Hellion already going to make such a good thing, because, well, this Hellion is going to straight away see both of these Medevacs are on their way through, and this is everything that Dzerzhinsky wanted that Hellion for. He now knows that he needs to get in a position to defend that. He's pulling over the Vikings. This double drop is likely to get sniped out straight away. And that, of course, is where things can be really problematic, because in they come. Double drop. This is a lot of resources tied up in that, a lot of supply tied up in that. But the Vikings are pulling back, and they didn't go over far enough. They think that it was spotted. At the same time, Pompey getting ready with another double drop going into the natural base. This is all very exciting. Oh, Dzerzhinsky, he's got to make sure that these tanks are in a good spot. There are a couple of Widow Mines. Here come the Medevacs from the left. The Medevacs from the top also getting ready. No missile turrets are down. The first one's just trying to get ready to go and get placed, but Pompey, he's going to be able to get in there in time. He has just got a poke in. Here we go. The tanks are going to start sieging. At the same time, we've got the double Medevac drop coming in the top, but 2 missile turrets there already. The 3rd is going to try and get siege. A lot of damage being done here. The SCV is getting pulled back, and of course, most of that first drop got taken out. 1 drop is going to be able to get away, but this orbit command at the 3rd base is going to get taken out, or at least forced back for the moment. This is denying it for as long as possible. Dzerzhinsky really wanted that 3rd. The tank is going to be able to force it back for the moment, and there's also now this sensor tower down. That's going to allow Dzerzhinsky to see as these drops come in and hopefully try and deal with it. 3 Vikings, though, want to have a piece of Medevac. Not going to be able to do it though. They're just going to be pulling back for the time being, which is always a little bit safer. The third orbit command is now just finishing up here for Pompey. He's just macroing up quite nicely. Both players spending their resources quite well, which is always an important thing to do, and just macroing up really quite nicely. Upgrade wise, we can see here that it's 1-1 up against 1-0 mech upgrade. No +2 started for either player. No +1 vehicle plating started yet for Dzerzhinksy either. So a small upgrade advantage there for Pompey. Will he be able to capitalize on it though? That's something we've got to keep an eye out for. Lots of missile turrets are on their way down at both players' third bases. They want to make sure that they don't get dropped, because that really can be devastating. In terms of workers lost this game, Dzerzhinsky, after his double Hellbat drop and of course Helium push into the natural, still has killed 12 compared to the 6 of Pompey, but the worker count itself is actually 48 to 44 in Pompey's favour, so a slightly better economy there, and all he needs to make sure about is that actually he's gonna just keep everything safe. As long as he keeps this really better economy going, then he shouldn't have too much to worry about, especially with the better upgrades. But there we go, +2 vehicle weapons getting started there. At the same time, +2 infantry weapons getting started for Pompey. He needs to start +2 infantry armor as well, just to keep that upgrade advantage really going. And as long as he keeps that up, he should be getting himself into a relatively good spot. But Dzerzhinsky, his mech army is starting to get a lot more sizable. Both players' supply exactly equal at the moment, which is always a good thing to see. A couple of tanks thrown into the mix here as well for Pompey. What he's got to be really cautious of though is if all of these tanks are sieged up for Dzerzhinsky, that siege line is going to be massive. So he's got to be so careful that he doesn't just get annihilated by that siege tank fire. He could go and try and get some drops on top of those tanks. That could be something that would be very effective. Now the medevacs are on their way through. The missile charge just finishing up though. A couple of tanks sieged up are going to be able to make their way through. One medevac gets taken up, but notice that was one with only a single unit, and the rest of the Marines are getting chucked down. Unfortunately, there's so many tanks here. Dzerzhinsky is going to try and do more damage. Missile turrets are getting taken out. A couple of SCVs are going down here. The Marines doing a nice little bit of fire, but for the time being, we've just got the SCVs getting pulled back. These Marines sitting here comfortably. Of course, remember the siege tanks are over there. And yeah, this is now where things can get pretty tricky. But Hellbats, of course, very strong units, going to just start punching through all of those Marines. And yeah, that's the drop cleaned up. Dzerzhinsky going to be forced to pull back a little bit. He's still happily... Pompey going to be forced to pull back a little bit. Very happily, though, for the time being. Sitting there, just mining up quite nicely. He's now killed more workers than that of his opponent, and is sitting at 62 to 45 SCVs. That's always a really good spot to be in when you've got a better economy. Your upgrades is too going really strong. +2 infantry armor was started just after I mentioned about +1 infantry weapons. And so here we see Pompey actually getting together a relatively nice economy, good upgrades. What he's got to be a little bit cautious about though is Dzerzhinsky's mech force is really getting quite sizable, as you can see on screen. He's got 15 tanks, 16 Hellbats, and 5 Vikings, and he's going to start moving across the map. But look at the number of Marauders. A good scan coming down here from Dzerzhinsky. We'll get a good read about... Well, there's a lot of infantry here. Now actually moving straight into that scan, sees all of it, says, wow, those are a lot of Marauders. I've got to be very cautious about that many Marauders because they can dish out a lot of damage. Of course, 2-2 upgrades are just kicking in now for Dzerzhinsky. 2-0 upgrades just kicking in for Dzerzhinsky. 2-2 kicking in for Pompey. And if he gets those 2-2 upgrades, well, that's a really nice upgrade advantage. 2-0 against 2-2. Big lead there, and that would always be good to see. Now, this is kind of like a bit of a stalemate. You've got to be very careful because, of course, the tanks, there's so many tanks. Look at this many tanks. There's just so many just sitting there at the moment, ready to go in. Meanwhile, Pompey just got to be careful that a flank doesn't occur. These Hellbats are going to try and make their way through. Of course, the trouble with having all these tanks clumped up is dropping on top of them could always be a threat. The 4th base now getting taken by Dzerzhinsky. He's got the planetary fortress morphing in. The Corvid reactor also coming down here, because why not at this stage of the game? It's always going to get very tense. The mutual scans going off on both sides. The Hellbats going to come and start working away at these rocks. Small force Marines sacrificing themselves near instantaneously to that many tanks. That's something you've always got to be very cautious about. Does Pompey see these Hellbats? Yes, he does. Is he going to react to them? Well, he's got a small force ready to come in to go and take out those tanks, but instead that's going to get diverted to pick off these 3 Hellbats. So they're not going to last too long at all. But still, stalemate in the center of the map. Neither player wants to move. Notice the pre-spread of units from Pompey. This is a really smart thing for him to do, that just when he wants to come and engage into these tanks, if he wants to engage into them when the unsiege occurs, he's going to have the maximum amount of surface area that he could possibly hope for. And that is always such an important thing to see. Now, as we see, another double drop potentially getting ready to go down. Could come into the fourth, but unfortunately Planetary Fortress plus 2 missile charges would shut that down very easily. Dzerzhinksy just repositioning his tanks very slowly, very cautiously. Doesn't really want these to get caught out of position, doesn't want to unsiege them all at the same time. The Viking count at the front, just making sure that if any medevac drops tried to come in, then actually you'd be running into a bit of a trap. So you don't want any of that going down. Pompey, though, he's got a decent number of units up here. He's got 3-3 upgrades also on the way. But the first Ravens are now coming out. Oh, a medevac got taken down there pretty hard by those missile charges, which is always something that is going to be a big win. But now overcome the medevacs into the tank line. And the first couple of tanks are just going to show themselves to death, which is never something you really want to see. But there's just so many tanks there that everything gets annihilated the second it drops out. Now the Vikings going to do some nice damage. One lone Hellbat has discovered the attempt at a 5th base out of Pompey, and he's going to be trying to shut it down all by himself. At the same time, though, a couple of Marines and Marauders that actually gets taken out. No cannons went down there for Pompey, but is he going to be able to come back anyway? Is he going to just do some nice damage? Well, the tanks are just soaking up so much fire. The medevac gets taken down there too. Dzerzhinksy at the moment only losing 4,000 resources to just 9,500 of Pompey. So that's a big win for the moment for the blue Terran player. Will he be able to keep that going? A couple of orders trying to push him, trying to take out some tanks. Able to knock out one, but just throwing units at this tank line is not going to be cost effective in the slightest for Pompey, and so he's got to be a little bit careful about that. He's getting mass command centers down now, ready to go and take all of the bases. This one lone Hellbat still feeling very happy with himself. Meanwhile, Dzerzhinksy, he's sitting back. He's got 4 bases up. He's mined out at his main pretty much, and just needs to be a little bit cautious. This one, this poor SCV, all on his own. I can't even zoom in on him because of the angle he's in, but yeah, that poor SCV there sitting between the 2 armories, unable to ever get free. That is such a shame for him, but we do have 3-3 upgrades about to kick in for Pompey. That's going to be a nice little window of opportunity for him. 2-2 is done as well here for Dzerzhinksy. So it's not going to be a massive upgrade lead, but it should be enough to try and break this. Meanwhile, a 5th base is getting taken here. Oh, a couple of Marauders moving into their deaths there. Dzerzhinksy still being very cost effective. 4,500 resources to 11,000 resources lost. Pompey losing a lot of medevacs here. The Vikings just tearing through everything. There was literally only 1 Marine there. And is this going to trigger Pompey to try and rush him? Because he can't really do much without those medevacs there. He's literally only got 5 left on the field. He desperately needs quite a few more. 7 now down. The fusion core is getting constructed for the red Terran player. Meanwhile, for Dzerzhinksy, he's got 10 Ravens out on the field already. So things are going to be getting pretty crazy. But talking of crazy, income Marauders heading straight towards this base. 3-3 is done. The Planetary Fortress is going to take a lot of fire. It's going to get sniped down here. All of the tanks were forced, or the vast majority of the tanks forced to unsiege. But these Marauders are now incredibly all in. But was it worth taking out that Planetary Fortress? We'll have to wait and see. Pompey down in supply now, but he is up in bases. If he discovers this base to the bottom left that's just starting to mine as we speak, well, then he would be able to get himself into a really good spot. And limiting your opponent to 3 bases to your 4 is always going to be good. There's an additional 2 orbital commands here too for Pompey, so he can go and take those when he wants to. More medevacs just running around, not really doing much, but Dzerzhinksy, he is up at 190 supply and is now just moving forward, not sieging up those tanks, just ready to go and blow its way through. And of course, extra DPS if you don't siege up tanks, so it's always an important thing to note if you are going to be pushing in like that. The Ravens, the Vikings, the air superiority definitely in Dzerzhinksy's favor. But can he make that work? Pompey, he's just trying to move in with a couple of Marauders. Will it be enough? Well, they're not going to last too long. And of course, the Vikings now just coming in and dealing so much damage to these medevacs. Already 3 go down. A 4th one falls too. Just a single volley from that many Vikings. Instantly annihilated all. +3. Terran ship plating is on its way down. We've got, of course, more Ravens. The fusion core finished on both sides. Are we going to be seeing those legendary battle cruisers? I really hope we do. Battle cruisers are so incredibly fun to see. And there we go. 3 already in production. Will we get a 4th from Dzerzhinksy? No, because he's supply blocked. But if he wasn't, then we definitely would be seeing a 4th one on its way down. And now Dzerzhinksy is just getting himself ready to start moving in. And if he does actually get himself up to a decent supply lead, he can do this. The 5th base is trying to come down here for Pompey. He's transferring the SCVs. Dzerzhinksy just being so passive. He's giving Pompey time to get out more units, to get himself a better economy. Because remember, all this game, Pompey's been ahead in terms of the worker count. Really not hugely considerably, but just a little bit of an upgrade, a little bit of an economic advantage, a little bit of the upgrade advantage sitting all the way through the game. But that hasn't stopped Dzerzhinksy being ridiculously cost effective. He's lost 11,000 less resources than that of his opponent. That's something that you never, ever, ever want to have. No matter how good your economy is, losing that much more is going to be quite devastating. More battle cruisers coming out here for Dzerzhinksy. He is now maxed out in terms of supply. The Ravens coming in, the mass auto turret throwdown, and we are going to be seeing many SCV potentially die here. A couple of Seeker missiles are going to try and connect. This could be massive. So many SCVs went down there. Massive shot, but at the same time, some Marauders and Marines trying to take out a planetary fortress, not being too successful with it. A couple of Hellbats taking out the other base. Dzerzhinksy now, he just knocked out a huge number of SCVs with that Seeker missile and has forced back with the use of these auto turrets the 5th base of his opponent. Dzerzhinksy though, he's got his 5th base up. He's happily mining from, I believe, 3 of them now. His natural, all of the mineral mining has been pulled back. And yes, so all in all, this is now just setting the point where these two players gonna just be trying to get up a decent economy. Dzerzhinsky's in no rush. He's got a good number of battle cruisers. He's got +3 ship weapons on their way down. He's already got +3 vehicle and ship plating. But Pompey, he's got 3 upgrades down too. The concern I have for Pompey is just that while he's got a lot of Vikings, there's so many Ravens out for Dzerzhinsky. 15 Ravens up against 5. Seeker missiles, these are going to be some incredibly large engagements if they do come head to head. Both players being relatively passive at the moment though. And yeah, not really engaging on any front for the time being, just still these auto turrets sitting here just being like, well, come at us, Marauders. See if we can, Marines and Marauders. We have got so many auto turrets hitting some good damage, actually. Of course, just slowly picking away. Will they get another Marine kill? Nearly managed to take it out. Very close. Oh, but here we go. Big engagement going in. Pompey decides to try and go in for it. He's trying to snipe out as many tanks as he can. But the Marauders are going to be useless against these battle cruisers and Ravens. But luckily, many of these Marauders do still stay up. The battle cruisers just unable to deal so much damage. But still, the Marauders pushing forward, trying to take out all of the tanks. Dzerzhinsky's answer to losing his tanks, make more battle cruisers. They are 3-3 now. That makes them very scary. Terran building armor, even getting researched by Dzerzhinsky for the time being. Pompey, he has got just what seems like a never-ending supply of Vikings, 22 of them here, just all sitting around, harking around this tech lab for some reason. Not quite sure why they're all circling around that, but they clearly feel quite happy with it. The Ravens are still down the field. This is now a complete air superiority battle. It's gonna come down most likely to the Seeker missiles. We've got Pompey moving forward. The battle cruiser count though is only 4 to none. So Dzerzhinsky doesn't have a huge number of battle cruisers down for the moment. It's all going to come down to those Seeker missiles. That is the massively important thing. And here we go. They're trying to move forward. Are we going to see the Vikings get some good shots off? Most likely we will. The battle cruisers just taking so much damage, instantly going down. First Seeker missiles are starting to queue up. Engagements on both sides. Mass Seeker missiles hitting on every angle. So many Vikings went down there for Dzerzhinsky. For Pompey, his supply is much lower. A couple of motor cannons destroying the final count of those Ravens of Pompey. But Dzerzhinsky, he managed to keep up 3 battle cruisers. He's got more on their way over to another 4 gonna come and join this army. There's a lot of Vikings there, a lot of PDDs coming down in order just to try and soak up their missile fire, and that is gonna massively help Dzerzhinsky as he starts putting on the real pressure. We do, of course, have the Orbital Command coming down, and, well, this is definitely going to fall here. If he was able to keep this, it would be an absolute miracle. The Ravens chucking down all of those auto turrets. Vikings trying to start moving in. Going to be able to snipe down one of the Ravens, very high energy one too as well, which is going to be very frustrating for Dzerzhinsky. Also, these left-hand bases getting retaken here by Pompey. He's at 150 supply to 175 of that of Dzerzhinsky. But can Dzerzhinsky really put the nail in the coffin? He's got a massive bank. 5,000 minerals, 2,000 gas. But he's got to make that work for him. Still being very cost effective. 31,000 resources lost by Pompey to just 14,500 of Dzerzhinsky. That is a massive economic lead, and that really is where a lot of that bank is sitting for the time being, is that Dzerzhinsky just isn't able to spend it because he's been maxed out, he's not losing units too much, and he's just trading quite cost effectively. But Pompey is doing just the right thing. He can't engage the planetary fortress, so he's going to be taking out some of these gas geysers. But is this going to allow Dzerzhinsky to just start edging his way forward? The answer is yes, it will. So many Vikings, the first battle cruisers coming down as well for Pompey. Planetary fortress has no more to these Marauders, but Pompey, he's got to deal with this mass force, which is just heading straight up towards the main. Of course, there are some missile turrets there, but a couple of military cannons will be able to shut that down very quickly indeed. And so this is where things can get pretty scary. In come the Vikings, in come the Ravens, and in come the battle cruisers. Where is Pompey? Well, he's just going for some counter pushing. Will this see a base raid situation? That would be absolutely crazy. But for the moment, these battle cruisers just going to start annihilating this third base. But the fifth base of Dzerzhinksy is getting destroyed for the time being by this infantry. Planetary Forge is trying to do as much as it can, but still lots getting lost on the other side of the map on his own base, because yeah, these battle cruisers, they are deciding to do some really nice damage. There's already, of course, 8 battle cruisers out for Dzerzhinksy to 3 of Pompey. Pompey has just got to be very careful about this infantry, because he needs to keep that up. That's really where most of his strength is. Of course, the Widow Mines getting revealed by those Ravens. A couple of auto turrets getting thrown down everywhere. And Dzerzhinksy deciding to come back to try and defend. He thinks he's knocked out most of the bases, but he doesn't. I don't think he even knows about this base down to the left. Oh no, he does know about it. He's seen it, but he's just coming to defend first. He's got the auto turrets in the main, just slowly working away at everything that they can. The tanks for Dzerzhinksy just trying to pick away some of the infantry as he moves in with his main army into the natural base. More battle cruisers coming in. The Vikings are just annihilating everything at the moment for Dzerzhinksy. Pompey down to just 100 supply to 180 of the blue Terran player, and this fight going miraculously in his favor. Over 100 supply ahead right now. And yeah, this is now looking very much like Dzerzhinksy's game. 120 supply advantage is fairly big, and I think Dzerzhinsky should be able to do it. He's getting more battle cruisers out. He's got this top right base as well. That puts him up to 5 bases. 6 bases when he retakes this one. And Pompey losing all of his production. GG's out, and game 1 goes to Dzerzhinsky.